Greetings, I am E. Adam Thomas, and this is Film Rants, officially banned in Quahog by mayoral decree. Tonight's episode is dedicated to Adam West, best known as the star of the 60s TV and film adaptations of Batman. He also plays the mayor of Quahog. We'll be looking at the 1966 film Batman the Movie, as well as Batman Returns with Michael Keaton and Batman vs. Superman featuring Ben Affleck as the Caped Crusader. Originally conceived as a pilot to the TV series, Batman the Movie centers around the dastardly consequences when the Joker, the Riddler, and Catwoman and the Penguin all join forces to extort billions of dollars from all of the major global powers. To the rescue are the Caped Crusaders, Batman and Robin, played by Adam West and Burt Ward. Just for the edification of those derp enough to think otherwise, this movie and the TV series were both intentionally played for laughs. It was intended as a parody of superhero comics, with broad characterizations and cheesy special effects. It should also be remembered that comic books themselves were largely still being aimed at 12-year-olds at this point in time. There wasn't much of a market for the concept of the dark graphic novels like The Dark Knight Returns or other fare from the Frank Miller library. In the 1960s, Superman, Batman, Captain Marvel, all of them were sparingly drawn and written. If anything, this film and its TV counterpart went a long way towards rejuvenating comic books in general. And one thing this movie doesn't have that most of the other Batman films do thwack you upside the head like Harley Quinn's wooden mallet with, is another dreadfully depressing flashback to the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne. Now, the film's budget was a little over $1 million, which today would probably maybe get you the first half hour of Clerks, but even for that time, for an action movie, it wasn't exactly a gigantic budget. And a good chunk of that probably went to the licensing and the actors. The sets are every bit as wobbly and unconvincing as the worst of black and white Doctor Who episodes, and the plot has more holes in it than my underwear after binging on Super Nachos at Roy Bertito's with Super Macho Nacho Cyber Mecha Dr. Trancorn Holio sauce. But the beauty of it is, Batman the Movie is not meant to be a massive action thought piece with explosions and angst, like most of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. The humor is beautifully played, especially with Adam West's classic earnest deadpan. Cesar Romero and Frank Gorshin are free to ham it up more than a septic tank explosion at Miss Piggy's bat mitzvah. Because West's serious as a Looney Tunes heart attack delivery makes it all pay off so well. Who cares if the rotoscoping looks worse than a Korean kaiju film? Who cares that they couldn't even convince Romero to shave off his mustache, so they had to just cake it down with clown white to hide it? Oh, and let's be honest, guys. Lee Merriweather was extraordinarily hot in that Catwoman costume. The film also boasts one of the most prophetic lines in Batman cinema history.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
I'm certain Joel Schumacher can definitely relate to that. On to the rantometer. We just get a 2, a 5, a 3, and 1 blade on the suck factor for the simple fact that the film runs a bit long and it does kind of drag in a few spots. Batman the Movie tops out at a less than spectacular overall score of 9. Still, for an intentionally cheesy, low-budget comedic superhero flick from the 60s, that's a pretty respectable score. That brings us to our second film. 26 years later, Tim Burton brings us his sequel to his first Bat movie, Batman Returns, with Michael Keaton, Michelle Pfeiffer, and Danny DeVito. On a budget of $80 million, which is about 58.3941605839 Adam West movies, Burton brings us a disappointing follow-up, which manages to be visually stunning if a little bit flatly lit, yet thematically confused, vacillating erratically between dark and serious action film and zany camp parody. The film is hurt most by the under-lubricated dry hump of a forced romance between Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle. Seriously, Burton didn't even bother spitting on Batman's dick for this one, and it plays out like two middle school drama students who hate each other in real life, forced to do a makeout scene for their final in drama class. Danny DeVito and fellow evil dude Christopher Walken, who plays a billionaire asshole Max Schreck, are far more entertaining, even though they also have the chemistry together of a piece of soap trying to relate to an avocado. The worst part is the climax of this film is just so not Batman-y. Keaton spends most of the finale looking stunned and dismayed at the way his foes are fucking each other over and then just dying left and right without him hardly having to lift a bat finger. The set design is okay, and Danny Elfman's musical score does its best to find some drama to punctuate, but it has to be a pain trying to score suspenseful music for a scene that features plodding hordes of tactical assault penguins making their way to the heart of Gotham City to, launch barely hazardous candy cane-colored rockets straight up? And then back down again? It says in the credits at the end of the film that no animals were harmed in the making of this film, but I'm pretty sure that most of the penguins came out of this film with shattered self-esteem and an irrational fear of taxicab dispatchers. The rantometer for Batman Returns shows no mercy here, with 3 3s and a 4. With a total score of 5, Batman Returns is a gruesome harbinger of batrocities to come.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Holy Shatner, Batman. That brings us to our third potential batastrophe, 2016's Batman v Superman. Now, I'll be perfectly honest, folks. I was really not expecting a lot from this film, to be perfectly honest. I was actually pleasantly surprised that it turned out as well as it did, to be frank, caution. And I was just as guilty as anyone of expecting it to suck because of the casting of Ben Affleck as Batman. Imagine my shock when he actually puts in a pretty fucking good performance in. See, one of the main issues with most of the Bat films is that it seems to be really hard to cast an actor that can pull off both Bruce Wayne and Batman with a decent balance. Keaton managed it in his first Batman film, and Christian Bale was pretty close in the Dark Knight trilogy, but Affleck nailed them both pretty damn well. I was actually a bit more disappointed by Henry Cavill as Superman, but both turned in pretty decent performances. The big loser here was the script, or should I say scripts. It felt like they were trying to squeeze 3 different movies into one film, and they couldn't quite make them gel together. There were so many decent ideas in this film that ended up being rushed or clumsily strung together. Zack Snyder seems to have a lot of great potential as a director for this kind of genre film, but they just tried too hard to accomplish too much and ended up pissing off more fans than he should have. Also, and I'm going to say this without trying to sound like a Jesse Eisenberg basher for its own sake, but I just really cannot buy him as Lex Luthor. I have indicated before that I'm not a big reader of comics, but based on the ones I have read, plus the previous Lex portrayals by Gene Hackman and Kevin Spacey, it just feels like a really bad fit. Part of the objective of this film was to lay the groundwork for a series of Justice League films, which, because Marvel's killing us with the Avengers. So it already feels contrived, like another boring movie studio war. And sadly, Justice League, even though Justice League predated the Avengers in the comics by at least 10 to 15 years, so it could be viewed as a little unfair, I see that DC allowed the Schumacher Batman films to get made, so...
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Karma's a bitch. On the Bats vs. Soups rantometer, we get a 3, a 5, a 4, and a 4, totaling out at an 8. It is better than Batman Returns, but just a point shy of the cheap schlocky 1966 parody. So, what did we learn on the show tonight, Craig? We learned that for better or worse, that we may just owe the whole breadth of big-budget blockbuster comic book cinematic universes, Universi, Universaurus, Universal Studios tour? I don't know. Whatever. We may just owe it all to the man who can punch evildoers so hard it makes onomatopoeia pop out of their skulls. A man who would never be caught dead trying to punch somebody who fights for truth, justice, and what used to be the American way before Trump was elected. A man who stands tall among the greats of classic TV pop culture, proudly shoulder to shoulder with the likes of Captain James T. Kirk, Steve Austin Astronaut, Magnum P.I., and the inimitable Leroy Jethro Gibbs. I am talking about the one and only fictional mayor of Quahog, Adam West. Your contribution to American pop culture is undeniable, and you will always hold a place in our hearts, Mr. West. One last time, Mr. Mayor, please tell us where to go.
To the bat poles. 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 To the bat poles.
Angry Men Reviews. Many fucks said, no fucks given.
A happy moment.
Check out these rants over here, and don't forget to check out Film Rants and That Damn Rant Show on social media. Links in the description below. That's your Damn Rant Show, folks. Have a great night. Take care. Was that 20 seconds again?